Stephen's commitment to the New Israel Fund was deep, perhaps not as deep as it was to refugees. He worked tirelessly in Australia for refugees, and he was really committed to projects in Israel that supported the refugees in Israel. In 2018, his commitment to the New Israel Fund and his commitment to refugees in Australia came together when Israel threatened to deport African refugees. Stephen organised two wonderful events, one in Sydney and one in Melbourne, which raised tens of thousands of dollars to support an emergency grant for refugees in Israel. And so there's a legacy of the work that Stephen did for both New Israel Fund and for refugees in Australia. I was a beneficiary of Stephen's deep understanding of what was doable and what was not, and I listened to his advice all the time. He was a wonderful man, a man who was funny, intelligent, direct. I trusted him completely.
Well, I still remember when I first met Stephen, he was just so excited about wanting to talk about human rights and refugees with me, and I thought, who is this guy and where's all this energy come from? He was so clearly dedicated to working on these issues, committing his time to these issues. His work on the Chasing Asylum film with Eva Orner was fantastic. I remember one night we were showing the film here in Parliament House and Stephen had come along, and I said to Stephen, would you like to come and sit on the floor in the chamber and see what it's like in the Senate? So I snuck him in and I sat him in the advisor boxes, and he was so excited. It was like Christmas.
As a mediator, everyone gets taught that everything everyone says is valid and valuable, and it's about listening, and it's about understanding them, and it's about getting into their shoes. And the thing about Stephen is he was the complete antithesis of that in many ways. Stephen believed that what you needed to do was intellectually sift through an issue, decide what was right, and then do whatever you needed to do to get to justice.
Stephen was the big voice in the room. He'd be the one in the meeting, cutting to the chase, trying to distill it down, getting to the essence of the discussion and saying that this is the right call to make. Still today, we search around for Stephen's voice to try and help us get to that point. It's always his principles that I admired most, and he was always so true to them. He was always reminding us that it wasn't worth doing something halfway. Don't hedge. If you're going to do it, these are our values. This is what we believe. Don't pretend like it isn't. So go out there, talk about it, put it on the agenda, because NIF is the only one that will, and let's stand up for the Israel that we believe in. That was what Stephen was always getting us to do. We just miss his voice so much. His principled stands, how detailed he was, his ability to articulate complex arguments, his generosity and his kindness. It's just not a voice that you can replace.
I think what people should know about Stephen is that he was committed, loyal, and when he cared about something, he was all in. I felt like in the short time that I knew him, there were so many people like me that he mentored, provided advice to, helped in difficult situations. And he had a huge heart. He had incredible compassion for the underdog and for the disenfranchised. And he acted on it. He didn't just talk about it. He lived his life trying to help people, and he really put himself out on a limb, and I think there are a few people like him, and I think we're poorer for it.
I think what's so telling about Stephen is the fact that his mother didn't know all the good deeds that he was doing. He was a humble man, and his mum didn't even know the tireless work that he used to do for refugees and RACs and all the organisations that he would put his hours and his determination into. And I think that's what's so special about him. He really did change the world, but not in a glory-seeking way. He was never out there seeking publicity for what he did. He really just rolled his sleeves up and did the job. He knew it had to be done, he knew it was the right thing to do, and he just did it, and he did it really well.